Now let's focus on the filters we create. These are built based on experience, the consequences we encounter from the real world, to protection, protecting us from the real world and preserving the beliefs in our virtual world. But here's the thing about the many filters we place with the real world. Ideally, we want them to work 100% for total protection and to avoid any type of consequences. However, that is not always the case. Your filters may work at maybe 80% or 75%, 50%, 25%. At 10%, it could start breaking down. At 5%, it will expose more of your true beliefs. Or 0%, where what you say, do, or write becomes unfiltered. So what can cause a filter to work at 100%, 50%, 10%, or even no filter at all? Well, there are many reasons, but one of the main reasons is when a person experiences a negative type of emotion. This includes feelings like being tired, getting angry, jealousy, being depressed, being sad, or even being under pressure. Other causes for a filter being broken could be related to alcohol, drugs, if there is some mental disability with a person, to even if a person is under anesthesia. This was something that Walter White did in the TV series Breaking Bad when he told his wife that he had a second cell phone before his surgery. Here's another example of this particular process. When a person is drunk, they may say things that they normally wouldn't say because their conscience disappears along with their filter. Therefore, they are speaking unfiltered. I've seen this behavior many times with a lot of my friends in the past. But most of all, the filter, as it gets weak, it will drastically affect a person's aggression, their empathy, and their level of tolerance. Here's another quick example for what all of this means. Sometimes when a person or a kid, when they get angry, they may say something rude. Well, this means that their filter is low, unable to really protect them, which can temporarily increase their aggression and lower their empathy. Let me provide two other examples. Each belief in your belief system is like a dartboard or a button. Based on what a person in the real world says, does, or writes, it will depend on the impact it will do to you and how strong it will be. Let's say that one of your beliefs is that you think that some things in the world should be for free. A person in the real world says, I think everything should be for free. Well, that comment will come into some inbound filter hitting a particular belief far off on the side, pretty much way off. You're thinking, I don't think so, but that comment doesn't bother me. It doesn't get you upset and you can simply brush it off. However, let's say that one of your beliefs is with guns, being very pro-gun and your right to bear arms. Well, when a person in the real world says something like, I think all guns should be banned, well, that could hit right in the middle of that belief, bullseye, or they pressed the right button. You would think, WTF, I am very pro-guns, you blinking idiot. Now this could make you very angry, or it could put pressure on you. You could get depressed or even sad, basically creating some negative feeling. As a result, your filter may get weak or even vanish altogether. This will result in you speaking from your belief system unfiltered, saying something like, it's my constitutional right to bear arms, you asshole, or anything along those lines. Now, calling someone a racial slur, talking about their size, like calling someone fat, for example, talking about their religion, their intelligence, with any bad word is a quick comeback to attempt to affect the person to also be in a negative state. Here are some real-life examples for some of the things and filters getting weak or vanishing altogether. First is Mel Gibson, which was caught saying a lot of racial slurs in the past. Before that, he was drinking and likely on drugs. As a result, it probably shut down the filter and he started speaking directly from his belief system, unfiltered to the extreme. As a consequence, it has seriously caused issues with his career ever since. With the Colorado massacre, when a crazed individual walked into a movie theater and started killing people because he had to kill. This is due to some mental disability because he was seeing some psychiatrist for several things he was dealing with. Well, that, along with high aggression, no empathy, and no filter, resulted in the shooting that he did. The same goes for Adam during the Sandy Hook shooting of several kids and faculty members. He had some mental disabilities, shutting down his filters, allowing his true belief system to interact with the real world. However, what was unfiltered wasn't with what he said or wrote, but what he did. On top of that, you have the level of aggression and empathy. Well, the aggression was high and the empathy was low, altogether resulting in the horrible shooting that happened. And last, we have this group of people, and what they did was clearly unfiltered or with very weak filters. But this interaction with the real world was likely unfiltered. As you can tell from these pictures, they were all young, which means they have limited experience with their belief system and creating filters to protect how they interact with the real world based on whatever they believe in. Well, many of them definitely encountered consequences. Here is another way for saying all of this and what has happened in the United States in the past, including what's happening today. The word hate is the same thing as saying a person speaking from their belief system unfiltered with no empathy and high aggression. That is what hate is in one simple word. There are examples like Phil Robertson with his comment towards gays and blacks, the beliefs of Craig Paul Cobb and the Nazi Party, or the horrible act towards blacks in the United States. These are examples of hate that people have and still continue to do within the real world. Well, hate does lead to serious consequences in the real world from action, from the knockout game, and a man who hit a child on a plane and using a racial slur because the child was black. The consequences involve Joe Hundley getting fired and going to prison for 8 months for expressing a high aggression, low empathy, physical, unfiltered action. This seemed to be an unofficial rule in society, that if you do or say hate into the real world, there will be consequences to some degree. So, with the filter that we place on the edge of our virtual world, built from our belief system, where does religion, like going to church, come into play with all of this that I've been talking about? Or with self-help programs, like maybe watching Oprah, watching the Dr. Phil show, the Landmark Education Program, Anthony Robbins, to even Source Points, among others. Well, all of these deals with improving your view of the world, but most importantly, they provide one or two important aspects to this human formula. They deal with working with people to create intelligent filters with the real world. They will provide the tools on how to deal with things that you will encounter. The second aspect is with not creating several filters with the real world, instead creating a single filter that is attached directly to your belief system internally. These groups would focus on reassessing your beliefs as a whole to change how you interact with the real world without needing a filter in the first place. So each person on this planet lives in their own unique virtual world that they control, and they are the center of that. However, there is a reality. Virtual worlds do not exist. They only exist in your head. The only thing that is real is the real world and what happens in the real world. All of your requirements, your opinions, your preferences to the values that you represent, they're all in your head, where you constantly try to convert the real world into some view of your virtual world because to you, that is the correct version. But again, in reality, you are like everyone else who believes that their virtual world is the correct view for how the real world should operate. These are thinkings that you are not going to change. When we live in the real world with people of different requirements, thoughts, opinions, like people who are religious or not religious, people who are liberals, moderates, or conservative, people who believe in the 1%, helping themselves or maybe helping other people, to people who believe that different races should be mixed, and some who think they should all be separated. There are many more combinations of these different beliefs. But the question is, how do you deal with these different beliefs, and how can we as people in the real world coexist in the same world with so many differences? Mankind has had many struggles with trying to coexist based on the different belief systems we virtually live in. And our movies show these challenges with movies like After Earth, where mankind has to leave the planet because we have not taken care of the planet we live on. The Day After is about a nuclear explosion in a city, a weapon that we build to destroy other people, actually many people, at once. The Day After Tomorrow, which again addresses climate change, but also how humans treat each other when the end of time approaches, to even working together or not working together. And the same for 2012. The movie Crash effectively shows humans' dislike towards each other with very different views of the world. The movie The Cabin in the Woods, the very end, is where maybe the best solution to our problem is for mankind itself just to die. Contagion shows humanity fighting to survive regardless of how other people feel or what they believe in. The Adjustment Bureau, where a secret group dictates the decisions of the world because if humans did it, we wouldn't be here. That's what the actor Terrence Stamp said to Matt Damon, talking about the Dark Ages, the Holocaust, to the Cuban Missile Crisis that humans created. The Book of Eli talked about the aftermath of the end of times, and War Games, about nuclear weapons we create and that maybe a new life form should start over. It's time for someone else to start over and hopefully do things right. And there are other movies out there with very similar themes. Besides the movies, we still have real life and people struggling to coexist within people in the real world. This is a picture of a woman who proudly kills a lion and poses for a picture. She posted it on her Facebook page and people were outraged over this picture for different reasons. The moral of the story is, the person in this picture and the people that were angry posting heated comments just had very different belief systems living together in the real world. Another case. A dad leaves a note to the nurses in the hospital that he didn't want black nurses to take care of his newborn baby. This caused an outrage of comments. Again, the dad and the people that were angry posting heated comments just had very different belief systems living together in the real world. Or this one, where a high school homecoming game agenda shows that after the homecoming game, the after game get together was only for white graduates. The heated comments and the outrages emerged. But again, these are different belief systems at play with people living together in the real world. We can't forget about the fit mom with her picture and her message, which is, "What's your excuse?" That comment alone sparked a serious outrage and this mom trying to justify her beliefs. I think this case is interesting for many reasons. For one, she is very confident in what she believes in, and this picture is her statement of that. However, That message alone, which is "what's your excuse," will definitely hit a bullseye for a belief about staying healthy for busy moms today. Most of the heated comments came from moms who were upset because that message pushed a button that made them upset. Hence, speaking unfiltered or partially unfiltered. But it could also signify that those moms are not confident in themselves or some set of beliefs. If you are confident in who you are and how you look, then that comment shouldn't bother you. But again, in this particular case, the mom and the many angry moms just have very different belief systems living together in the real world. Oh, and by the way, what's also important is to be confident in what you believe in, regardless of what anyone may say. The fit mom here on the left is very confident about her belief system and being healthy. And Megyn Kelly is confident in her belief system built on top of her conservative ideology. Showing this level of confidence is a powerful aspect that can make other people who are not entirely confident get fired up with heated comments. Moving along, we can't forget about Black Friday, with people fighting and yelling at each other, even fighting over towels in Walmart. Again, people with very different belief systems living together in the real world, along with high aggression and low empathy. A big one is fraud and theft that people do in the real world, like the millions of cell phones that are stolen each year to anything, or people who steal packages from the front porch of houses days before Christmas. I know about this too well because somebody did that to our house. Luckily, all they got was a funnel and some math flashcards, proof that crime doesn't really pay. Now, stealing things from people who have worked hard while others don't care, because that isn't their belief system, and you are not the center of their virtual world. As a result, people arm themselves and they get home security systems and motion cameras for extra protection to protect themselves from people in the real world that have different beliefs. What about the debate between saying Merry Christmas versus Happy Holidays? This is a big thing that Fox News is talking about. A Salvation Army bell ringer was hit in the arm by a person on the street because she didn't say Merry Christmas. Or what about Megyn Kelly, which said that Santa is white, and so on during a show? Well, this outraged people about her comment, but she stood up for herself along with Bill O'Reilly from Fox News defending her. But Megyn Kelly, during another show, wanted to speak out about the comments she had made, including that Fox News is known for getting picked on. But this is another example of people struggling to coexist, especially between conservatives and liberals, which will both have different beliefs built on top of their ideology. The worst case of human struggles for trying to coexist is with the many horrible wars we encountered, with the horrible events of World War II, including the Civil War itself, on and off the battlefield. My last example is with an application called Clash of Clans. This one really sums it up about humanity and their consideration of others in the real world. To keep it simple, Clash of Clans is a game where you can build a village, you can get gold, resources, and you can even upgrade your buildings to be powerful and to get more money. All of this may take you many hours. However, players have the option in the game to attack your village that you have worked hard on, destroying everything and stealing your gold. Now, without gold, you can't do much in terms of upgrades unless you spend more money. But the point is, you do not have to attack other villages. But many players unfortunately do not care if you have worked hard on building your village. They simply don't care and they will take you out without any hesitation. Their argument will likely be that you can do that in the game and that's just the way it is. But That's simply why I don't play this game, because I don't want to attack another village because it is not needed. But this game is a good example of people having different beliefs or consideration for you and your belief system. But with the struggles of people in the real world trying to coexist, many have stood up and believe in caring about humanity as a whole, including people like Carl Sagan, which believes that civilizations like ours, with a long road of evolution, can easily destroy each other due to unforgivable neglect with how we see and treat each other. Heck, even the Drake equation considers the lifespan in which we as humans or any other complex life detected is likely to survive before destroying each other. We are aggressive beings and destined to destroy each other due to the difference of opinions and the challenges to coexist together peacefully.